Tesla is down about 65% year to date, marking its worst yearly performance yet. So, what should Elon do? Keep watching as we go through recent news and solutions for recovery, as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stocks 101 for regular stock market updates. Analysts and experts have a few advices for Elon Musk as Tesla stock plummets, and suggestions included shuffling the board of directors and adding new tech and leadership experts, as well as a buyback announcement which will lift investor confidence, and considering the current price it will make sense. The third tip is to disclose more metrics and be transparent about long-term targets and estimates, as in the past the company was proud of its high price targets like Cathie Wood's $6,000, but now bears are sitting at a pile of money and they aim for another big fall, taking the price to $50. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here now in the 1-day chart for Tesla, and as always we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and to end it off we'll get to the 5-minute chart. Now right off the bat we can see that, well, we have fallen down over here, right, making a low around $108, $109, but at the same time we can see that, well, the volumes are rising and now we have concentrated volumes over here. So this kind of makes this the lowest point that we could go to, right? So in my opinion we've hit the bottom, right? Tesla won't fall below $108 in my opinion, and what's going to happen now is that I personally believe, on the next trading day, that was 3rd January, we'll likely go up, right? We'll probably get a small gap down around 122.5, I guess, 122.75, somewhere around there, and from then onwards we'll get a good bull run, probably heading towards $130, I would say, right? So I'm not saying that we'll get to $130 for sure, but yes, I personally believe that we will get a green day on Tuesday. Now if we talk about the long term, well, first up, Cathie Wood's $6,000 price target, I personally don't believe it's possible. But at the same time, she did take a time period of around like 3 or 4 years, right? So it was for 2026, if I'm not wrong. So, well, who knows, right? It might be true, it might be false, but in my opinion, I can see Tesla getting to $1,000, $1,200 around that time, but I personally don't see the stock getting to $6,000, as Cathie said. And of course, if we talk about Twitter and Elon in general, I personally believe that Twitter is not exactly, or rather, Twitter is just a small point in this debate. And the reason why Tesla fell, of course, was first up, rising fear, right? And what was the fear about? Well, first up, of course, Twitter, right? And secondly, Elon's behavior, right? Elon, I believe, is a bigger part of the problem than Twitter itself, because as you all know that for the recent, or the rather for the past few weeks, Elon has made some problematic statements and moves on Twitter, which did lead to a lot of controversy. And I personally think that such bad PR has always haunted Tesla. And even though it was still so good in terms of valuation, I believe that it has now finally touched the overvalued part. Well, not right now, but of course it did touch the overvalued part over here when it started to deflate. And of course we can see what happened after that, right? We can see that the volumes are continuously rising because of course the share price is going down and the same people can now buy more shares. And over here we will get the earnings report at 25th on 25th January, which will end the 4th quarter, I believe, right? So that will give us, well, the revenue estimates are $26 billion, the earnings estimate 1.266 per share, which in my opinion, Tesla has had a good record so far, so I believe we might be able to hit that. But at the same time, considering the main bad news that with the Shanghai Gigafactory, the Shanghai plant, it getting shut down thanks to not thanks to, but due to the lockdown policies in China, which have now again come in place, right? That was a huge problem, but at the same time I've heard news that it's kind of getting sorted out, so that will hopefully help the stock go up as well. And at the same time, if we talk about the earnings report, we might miss the target, right? One of these targets, we might miss one of these targets. Like over here we missed the revenue targets. I believe that something similar might happen this time, where we'll either miss the earnings or the revenue, which I of course believe will be the revenue. We won't likely miss on the earnings. But at the same time, if we talk about a long-term target, right? A realistic 1 year target. So I can see Tesla trading above $200, likely around 250 around the same time next year, right? But at the same time, it will depend on a lot of other factors, like first up, of course, Elon's behavior, and secondly, his dedication towards Tesla and the way he parts his time between Tesla and Twitter. Because again, Twitter, a lot of people are saying that Tesla is now being ignored by Elon thanks to Twitter, but I personally don't think that's entirely true. Well, it might be true to some extent because then again, I don't really know, right? I don't really live with Elon or anything like that. There's literally no way for me to know that. But at the same time, I personally do believe that announcements, right, developments, all of that stuff has kind of slowed down on Tesla's side, or rather, it's just that Twitter is kind of so active these days, so in the news these days that it's just overshadowing Tesla, and that's why we don't see much of Tesla's news. But at the same time, I personally think that it's a good price for Tesla right now, and even if we fall down further, it will just be a better buying opportunity in my opinion. But then again, you know, not financial advice, and with that, we'll head on into the 1 hour chart. And now that we're in the 1 hour chart, we'll do one little thing, which is the extended trading hours window, right? We enabled that. And now we can see, of course, the aftermarket and the pre-market movements. So over here, first up, we can see that we did build up a good, or rather not even a good, but a pretty decent bullish trend, which is, well, kind of getting stuck into this range, kind of getting squeezed into 123, $125, that entire range. And of course, in my opinion, this might actually lead to a huge volume burst on Tuesday, as we already discussed, right? I already told you guys that I personally am expecting a bull run on Tuesday, and this kind of supports what I just said because we can see that we did make somewhat of a flag pattern over here, right? Over here and of course over there. So that kind of indicates to me that the stock will go up on Tuesday and it might be a good buy trade that day. And at the same time, for long-term investors, these short movements won't matter much. But at the same time, what will matter to you is that the stock, even though it's getting a lot of FUD, a lot of fear being spread on Yahoo Finance, on Twitter, on Investor Hub, all of these platforms, I personally think that it will all come to an end real soon because, well, we all know that 2023 we'll likely get to see the Cybertruck, and once that is done, well, that will be a really cool thing. And with that, of course, if we talk about some important levels, I already told you 123, 125 will be important levels, right? Let me mark 125 as well. And at the same time, if we talk about support, 118.5, 119.5, and 120.5 will all act as important support levels for Tuesday's trading session. If we get a gap up, above 125, then we'll likely be in for a bull run. If we get a gap up below 125, we'll likely be in for a bear run. If we get a gap down somewhere around 121, 122, we'll be in for another bull run. Below that, well, same case, bear run, right? So that again will be my prediction for Tuesday. And with that, to further confirm that, we'll jump on into the 5-minute chart. So as you guys can see right here, we're now in the 5-minute chart, and right off the bat, we can see that we did get a decent bump in the first hour of 30th December, right? We can see that we went up by pretty much from a gap down of around 119.93. We went to a price of 124, marking a 3.5% rise, after which we did build a small, short-term bear trend, which got supported and pretty much ended at 120.85, pretty much 120.8, right? So that's a good support as well on the intraday. And over here, we can see that on the aftermarket, we did go sideways, kind of. So in my opinion, this again indicates a possibility for a small gap down, which will be the likely scenario, in my opinion, if we were to wish for a bull run on Tuesday, right? If we get a gap down around 122, between 122 point, or rather between 122.5 and 121.5, that will be the best scenario for a bull run. It will be the best setup for a bull run, in my opinion. And then, of course, for the short-term traders, a stop loss, around 120 and a target around 126 should be good, in my opinion, right? That will give you probably a 1 to 3 ratio trade. And of course, you can just take it to 124 1:2, and then trail it from there onwards, right, with the stop loss. And that should be the best course of action that I personally would take, in my opinion. And, that of course sums it up. And with that, I am bullish on the stock for the short term as well. I am a bit doubtful of the long term, but at the same time, for the short term, yes, I do believe we have pretty much bottomed. But at the same time, I could be wrong. So remember that this most definitely is not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, sure, you can hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel, Stocks 101, for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.